Yo, what's going on everyone? This is 5 Large Fries, and today I'm going to be showing you my build for the Devastator. Now, this is not complete, there's a lot of stuff that I'm missing. I have just been really unfortunate with my drops recently, but let's get straight into it. So, the first one we have here, we're going to go through the weapons first, and then I'll talk about the build and everything else, the skill tree, the skills, all that kind of jazz. The first one, naturally, you guys know what's going to happen with this. You got the Molten Idola? I can't pronounce the name, I'm sorry. But the two perks we have here is Ravenous Locust, which shots create a swarm of locusts, dealing 258k damage over 10 seconds, and inflicting weakness to enemies remaining within 6-meter radius of the target. Basically, you hit this on, say, an Alpha, an Elite, it's going to make them deal less damage. Anything around them is going to take less damage, and is going to deal less damage. Sorry, this is not this isn't vulnerable. This is actually weakness. And it's also going to deal a whole bunch of damage, which is really nice. And then, of course, you've got Scrap Grenade, because everybody loves Scrap Grenade, don't they? This is the first shot after a reload becomes an anomaly projectile, dealing 226k damage in a 5-meter radius. Now, unfortunately, I don't have Grand Opening, otherwise I probably would have put Grand Opening on this instead, but that's besides the point. So this is our damaging type weapon if we need like an AoE clear, things like that. Next we have this is a purple. I've put Fortress on it and Storm Whip. The reason why I have this is because I haven't yet to get the Thunderbird to drop. The Thunderbird will increase this in insane amounts, and will probably mean that the Molten Idola will end up coming off for that. There is another weapon that I'm after that is still yet to drop, but that's besides the point. So Fortress we receive a 43% damage bonus based on your armor. Obviously, you can see our armor is 145k. I don't know if this scales with Golem. When Golem's activated, you get a bunch more armor, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't. And then, of course, you have Storm Whip, which does 74k damage every 2 seconds to a target, which is actually really nuts. Doesn't really matter about the pistol here, but I probably will end up changing it for something like Torment and Agony, but I'm yet to level that up. Now let's look at our armor. Now, I was originally running this, Anomaly's Visage. Grants 3k firepower and 11k anomaly power bonus on skill activation for 15 seconds with Bloodshot, which increases, or should I say, adds bleed to our Earthquake. However, I have changed it to this. I believe this is probably going to be a lot better when you're running expeditions, because there's always going to be an elite somewhere on the battlefield, no matter where it is. So you're going to be always increased by 11k for each elite presence. Now, there's some maps where you can have like 5, maybe 6 elites at one time. So that's an insane amount of anomaly power just increased right there. The other one here, obviously, is Bloodshot, which is a staple for this build, because we are trying to add bleed to get increased damage. Now, I would be running the bleed set, however, I have yet to get at least a third piece of it to drop. I only have the gauntlets, or the hand, the gloves, and the legs, as you can see a little bit further down here. Next one is this purple here, which I probably will end up replacing if I get the third set of the Seismic Commanders. But I'm just running Earth's Legacy on this, which is increasing the range of Earthquake by 60%, which is absolutely vital. Increasing the range of this is going to be a lifesaver for you guys, because the range on Earthquake is pretty piss poor, but increasing that by 60% means you can get things from a good distance away, so you don't have to be right up in their face, which is really nice. And of course, you have Bloody Boost here, which is increasing damage done to enemies inflicted by bleed by 15%, which goes in nicely here with Tainted Blood on the Seismic Commander's legs, which is increasing the damage dealt to bleeded targets by 25. So that brings you to a total of 40%, if my maths works out correctly. I'm a little bit tired. 35, 40%, yeah. Now, this does actually increase with the 50%. So chances are I will probably try and put Bloody Boost on somewhere else in this build, and that will give you a grand total of 90% extra damage just to bleeding targets, which is absolutely insane. The second perk that I have on this, which I rolled into, is Rivers of Blood, which is increasing the skill damage of Impale by 50% to enemies afflicted with bleed, which is just absolutely insane. Especially if you are using something like a melee, which also increases bleed, or if you're just using your Earthquake. Earthquake also inflicts bleed, so this is just going to allow you to do an insane burst of damage with Impale. Next one here is Ground Crush, increasing the skills damage by 84k, which is really nice. It's just extra damage. And then Impaler, which allows you to use Impale for an additional time, which again is really nice for burst targets. What you'll see here is I don't have Impale to strike additional targets. That's probably something that I will look into when I finally get the bleed set. But because I don't have the bleed set, I'm just using this as a single target burst damage, which you can see here with Impale, the Sharpened Spike. The Impale deals 129k more damage, and extra Quake, which allows me to use Earthquake at additional time. So I am using Earthquake. I have Earthquake up twice, and I have Impale up twice. The skills here that I have is Earthquake, as you can see here, on a 6.9 second cooldown, Golem here, which I have on a 16.2 second cooldown, and Impale, which I have on a 16.7 second cooldown. Now, this obviously is because most of this gear, I believe, has cooldown reduction, except for the gloves, but, you know, still yet to get a nice pair of gloves that rolls with cooldown reduction, but, you know, everything else has cooldown reduction, which is really nice. And then the one thing you want to be looking here for is anomaly power, cooldown reductions, and either skill life leech, you want close range damage, or status power. They're the three, four extra additional armor boosts that you would like, or stat boosts that you would like. So there's my skills. Obviously this is impacted greatly from the cooldown reduction, which is really nice. Now let's have a look at the class ability. Now the class, I've gone down the anomaly route naturally because this is an anomaly build. So we go for Anomaly Reservoir, we got Endless Tremors, which allows us to use Seismic. It reduces the cooldown of basically our two main damaging abilities, which is really nice. Now here we have another increase in anomaly power, reducing the cooldown on our Golem by 15%. Now here's where a lot of our damage comes in, which is why we have Golem on, because when you are using Golem, it increases your anomaly power by 45%, which is absolutely nuts. Here we go, increase our resistance piercing. It basically allows our skills to pierce through a lot of damage. We're not going here because we're not using any of the skills. Increase our power again, go in here for Stone Circle, so enemies considered to be in close range is increased by 4 meters. Now, the reason why this is good is because when you are inflicting bleed and you kill enemies at range with your Earthquake, or if anyone else kills things within, within this range, it's just going to increase the close range damage, because as you can see here, with our class, everything in close range that dies heals you for 24% of your max health, which is just nutty. And increasing the range of that close range is always going to help you survive. Now here we go for reducing the cooldown of our damaging abilities again, so the Earthquake and the Impale. We have more damage here, extra 20% against enemies that are below 30% health, again, which is really nice. So the first Earthquake will probably put them down to that, and then the second one will probably just wipe them out, which is just insane. And more anomaly power. Now we go down here to bleed afflicted on enemies is 30%. Basically increase the damage of bleed by 30%, not the damage dealt to bleeded targets. It's just a pure bleed increasing damage, and that is nice because of this, because anything that is bleeding that you are creating, so your seismic, your seismic abilities, so your ground pounds, your your Earthquakes and your Impales, that's going to create bleed damage. If you have bleed damage on a weapon, that's also going to increase. and you're going to gain 25% of your that damage back as health, which is really nice for survivability. Skill life leech by 6%. Now this one here is another nice survivability here. It increases your armor bonus by 40% if you're anomaly power, because we've gone down anomaly power route, our armor is just insane. It's really nice survivability perk. Last four here, so we have skilled sentry, increase your armor by 20% and resistance by 20% for 10 seconds when your skill ends. Naturally, we're just spamming abilities every 6 seconds at the very least, so this is always going to be up. It's always going to be up, which is nice. Increase your resistance by piercing by 15% and bleed damage again by 30%, so you're doing 60% more damage with bleed, which is nice. And increase your damage with seismic abilities by 50%, which is like our bread and butter. So that's pretty much it for this video. I know it was a bit of a lengthy one. I had to go through pretty much everything that I had here so you guys understood where most of the damage was coming from and stuff like that. Us Devastator mains, we got to stick together because we're getting pretty discriminated against for our lack of damage. So the more damage videos that we can do, more damage we can do, I'm going to obviously share that with you guys. But that is going to be it here. Here, let me show you this real quick. This game, I am so unluckily lucky with this game. Yes, I said that right. Unluckily lucky. So I'm lucky in the sense that I just got 2 legendaries, but I'm unlucky in the sense that 1, they're both duplicates, and 2, even if they were duplicates, it's not the legendaries that I'm really sought after right now, so is what it is. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.